Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is Squidhead Joe, and today we're going to be diving into the world of color grading with Dehancer. And Dehancer did reach out to me for me to make a video on their product, and I had informed Dehancer that I am a beginner when it comes to using DaVinci Resolve. I'm not a filmmaker or somebody who can really make a tutorial. This is not really what I do, but they were very insistent and they wanted me to make it from a new user perspective as far as my thoughts and opinions on their plugins and what they can do to enhance your footage and everything like that using Dehancer. So I wanted to go ahead and look at it from perspective of somebody who's kind of new to DaVinci Resolve, new to making nodes and color grading and everything, and using the Osmo Pocket 3 or maybe the Sony A6700 or even the Sony ZV-E10 II, which I'm using to record right now. But I kind of want to set this up to let you guys know what I do as far as getting my videos to look decent enough for, I would say, YouTube. And what I use is OBS. I am recording using the Sony ZV-E10 II. I uploaded LUTs to the camera and I just run a HDMI cord to a capture card going into my computer, and then OBS just captures the footage and I don't have to worry about color grading or doing anything. I just have the settings in the camera correctly, have my lighting correctly the way I want, have my background lighting, everything like that. Everything is just set up to go. The same thing with the Alpha 6700. I just have it at my streaming / editing rig desk and I have the LUT uploaded. Then I never have to color grade, never have to EQ microphones, do any of that stuff unless I go out on location somewhere to vlog or to record something. And nowadays I just use the Alpha 6700 to take photos as well as record b-roll and background footage and just for products and everything like that. So I never have to EQ a microphone, so I just go into my editing program of choice, which is Wondershare Filmora. I've been using it for years. There's a debacle with Wondershare Filmora, but I feel like it's still to this day the best and easiest way to edit videos, especially on my level of editing videos and what I do in particular. So I never really needed to upgrade to using DaVinci Resolve for full-on editing or anything from, I would say, Adobe or anything like that. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. So we're going to be taking a look at it from that perspective. Again, a new person's perspective, small little node tree, doing my color corrections and my LUTs applied or whatever to the footage. And I'm going to look at some footage with the Alpha 6700 as well as the Sony ZV-E10 II. After we had talked and they gave me the promo code SQUID to save you 10% off on your purchase if you decide to hang out with them and install their plugins and everything. But just keep in mind, it's not an affiliate link or anything like that. I just wanted to save you guys a little bit of money. So I asked for a promo code or whatever, so you guys can, sign up and see if anything works for you for any of your editing suites. You can check out the website. It's linked in the description. I don't get any kickback or anything like that. Again, there's more comprehensive, I would say, breakdowns of their suites on YouTube. Just look up Dehancer with DaVinci Resolve and you can find, I think, a plethora of videos that we're going to deep dive and show you a little bit more and probably give you guys a more detailed insight into using DaVinci Resolve with their plugins or any other plugins that they have with the corresponding program. I've been talking too long. Let's hop over to the streaming / editing rig and I'm going to go through this footage and I'm just going to tell you guys what I think, honestly, from my thoughts and opinions of this product. All right, so before we jump into going through the Dehancer and taking a look at it in DaVinci Resolve, I do want to go ahead and say that once you download the plugin for DaVinci Resolve, and I imagine this will apply for any of their stuff from the website, you do get a comprehensive PDF file that will walk you through of not only installing, but showing you how to activate it and everything, and showing you pretty much dummy proof on how to do stuff, get updates, everything like that. So I do like it from a new user standpoint of how to get this stuff, I'll say, working on your computer, DaVinci Resolve, whatever program you're using. So I do like that. Let's go ahead and walk through DaVinci Resolve. And I want to go ahead and show you guys, like, this is how pretty much my stuff looks without DaVinci Resolve doing anything. So well, we have 3 little clips here. This is from the Alpha 6700. This is from the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. And this is from the Sony ZV-E10 II. So three different cameras here. This is pretty much what I do for all my nodes. I have 4 of them uploaded as far as like what I do. This is the edit, this is the HDR, this is the detail, and this is the LUTs nodes. And again, to be able to do that, you just add node, add serial node, all that stuff. You can look up a video. I'll leave one linked in the description that pretty much shows you how to set up these 4 LUTs nodes for editing your stuff and adding LUTs and everything. This is the video that I primarily use when I learned about how to edit D-Log M and everything. So I think it's gonna work for all your camera needs or whatever as far as using DaVinci Resolve. You'll just have to subtly obviously change the stuff down here, and it explains which each one does and everything. So this is very low maintenance as far as what you need to do. But I want to go ahead and say that if you're going to do this and you want to generate that LUT, so you don't have to do this every single time, if you have the same lighting and the same setup and everything, what you can do essentially is just right click here and generate LUT. And what you want to do is do 33 point cube. That's going to be a LUT that you're going to use across all editing programs. Even Wondershare Filmora, you go here, you add a LUT, and you can see I have LUTs right here, but I use Wondershare Filmora to edit videos, even this one. And essentially what I do is if I have a new camera or something like that, and I'm not going to use OBS to edit or to film the segment or wherever, and I'm using the camera, I'll go inside there, I'll make a LUT using that method with the 4 nodes and the LUT that I got from Paul Leeming. He's a professional photographer and videographer who has LUTs for sale. They're about $30 a piece as far as like camera manufacturer. So if you have a Sony camera and you want LUTs for all the different color picture profiles, you pay $30, you get a LUT for all color picture profiles. Again, find the link in the description. No affiliation, no sponsorship, no nothing with this guy. I just like his work and I want to promote it because it's good work. You can get a LUT to wherever. If you do get a LUT or you have saved your LUT by doing the generation LUT, what you can do is click on your LUTs folder and you just open location, and it will take you here, and you just right click, make a folder, name it my LUT or name it whatever, and then go over here again, right click on the LUTs folder and hit refresh, and then you'll see it populated over here in your folders. And if you don't see this, you just click up here and your LUT's there, and you can look at gallery, media pool, all that stuff by clicking those things. So again, the edit node or wherever, it's just slightly doing the lifts, doing the stuff down here for these little nodes. The HDR, all you're gonna do is click here for HDR, change whichever you want. The detail, all it is detail. You see the mid and detail, you change that on that node, keep it all separately so you can adjust stuff separately. That's why I'm doing that. But for over here, since we're doing log stuff, you can change the log under this, or you can leave it for under the actual log folder right here. And that's what I did. I left it under log and I changed it a little wherever in the midtones for the HDR, but you can apply that to any of these or whatever if you want to change that. But that's pretty much what you're going to want to do as far as like separating them. And because we're using just footage that's time lapse, that's inside the office, we really don't need to really change too much or whatever. And then like obviously the last node is just my LUT. Like I said, over here, I got the Paul Leeming LUT right here, the S-Log3 on that footage, and that's the way it looks. Now for this node right here, what we can do is just connect this node right here, connect this node right here, and this is going to be the node for the Dehancer. So what you're going to go is up here to effects, and you're going to go to library, and what you're going to do is you're going to see a whole bunch of Resolve stuff, any other plugins and stuff that you have enabled or wherever they're going to be here. But what you can do is you scroll through here, you see this film elimination right here, and you see Dehancer, and then you're going to take this and you're going to drag it to whatever node you want, and it's going to pop open this settings right here. And then obviously I have this applied, and then you can choose your camera. You can choose your camera, or you can choose any of these other options, probably Rec 709, or choose your camera. If you choose your camera, you have all these options right here as far as brands that you can go with: DJI, Sony, Sigma, Panasonic, you know, all that stuff. Apple, if you have a phone, Canon, all that, everything like that. The problem with the Sony cameras that I have found, and this might apply to some other cameras, is that you can see you have Alpha 6300 all the way to 6700. And then if you scroll through, you see stuff like the FX30, the FX3, the FS6. But you see down here, some of the popular ZV line is missing, like the ZV-1F, the ZV-1 Mark II, and I'm guessing this is the Mark I, which is the 8-bit. This is the point and shoot camera that I use for my top downs. That's cool to see here, but that's 8-bit. And then you have the Sony ZV-E1, which is the full frame camera, but you don't have the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II or 1 here, which is crazy to me because they have the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. They have some of their point and shoot cameras from other companies. They also have the DJI action cameras and stuff like that, but they don't have the ZV-E10 Mark 1 or 2, which is weird. But the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II has the same sensor and stuff, so you could use the Alpha 6700 as far as settings go, but it's kind of disappointing that they don't have it there. I'm not sure why, because it's one of the most popular things. But the other problem is you only get the S-Log3 format. And I understand a lot of people are going to use the S-Log3 for, Sony cameras, or maybe a different color picture profile that's a log profile for other cameras out there, because that allows you to get the most information, and that's what popularized like people color grading and everything. But there's people out there that use HLG3. I think the HLG3 look from the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II or Mark 1 is the best color picture profile for that camera. But I know some people use the S-Log2 and sometimes S-Cinetone, but it's mostly HLG3 and then S-Log2 as far as the popularity goes with that camera. Some people, like my brother, use no color picture profile for whatever reason. On an 8-bit, doesn't look as good as it does on a 10-bit camera. That's just my personal preference. But my brother also uses D-Log or wherever on the Osmo Pocket 3. But when it comes to LUTs, he just grabs the manufacturer's LUTs. He doesn't go into color grading like this in depth. He might slide some sliders as far as like the scopes or the color wheels, but he wouldn't go through what Dehancer has right here or wherever and slide this stuff. And he's not going to know what most of the stuff is because he's newer to cameras, even more newer than I am. And I know through the Dehancer options here what film is, as far as like you clicking on film and then seeing the Kodak stuff and all that stuff, like the different film looks that you can get here once you enable them and you just click on it and everything. What's going to show you is if I click this to show you what's happening, you can see the Polaroid there. You can see like what it's doing or wherever. And I'll get to the reason why it looks like this, but once you start clicking through these, you're going to know what it's doing to your footage. You know what I'm saying? Essentially. The problem is that you're probably going to have to do Rec 709 if you're going through this and you're adding your own LUT and you're doing all this other stuff. You're probably not going to want to do that. You're probably going to want to do something like this, as far as just having this one node and maybe making some others and having this as your LUT node instead of having this. You could probably do these nodes with other effects or wherever inside here, to enhance what you're doing with the Dehancer. But essentially, in my personal opinion, you're gonna want to probably have this, again, I'm new to this, but you're probably gonna want to have this as your LUT node or something like that, and have these edits and details and all that stuff as something else. You're probably not gonna want to do the LUT node and do all this stuff and then have Dehancer on top of it. I could be completely wrong. There might be a setting or something I'm doing, but based off the looks and being able to set your camera's format and all that stuff or wherever, it's going to ruin your footage if you're going to have a LUT node, just based off of what I'm doing. But again, back to what I was saying, for new content creators, they're not going to know what a film developer is, the compression, all that stuff. What I would like to see is like a tooltip, like a question mark right here, and you can hover over it and it tells you what it does. Or like I mentioned before, in this PDF stuff or wherever, maybe there's one out there that somebody can download or wherever, but giving you like a tooltip, like how it has here for the screenshots and stuff like that, telling you, hey, this is what each one does. Maybe give examples, like a still examples, like pictures or whatever, like before and after, what each section under the actual Dehancer stuff does to your footage, or a little, because like print, color, head, people might know what film grain is, but this, like bloom, I know what bloom is, but I'm saying film damage, people might not know what that is. Gate weave, I have no idea what this is. Overscan, like I know what a vignette is, but like monitor, all that stuff, it do have a LUT generator, so that's pretty cool. It's similar to like right clicking and generating a LUT, so that's pretty cool if you want to export the LUT or whatever and put it under your files or whatever for maybe your cameras or something like that, so you don't have to make this node and go crazy. But yeah, that's just me personally. I think that's all I really have to say about this. It's really cool. You have a lot of options here, and having the sliders and stuff like that, it might be a little bit easier than somebody trying to look at histograms, scopes, and dealing with the color wheel and all this stuff and watching the footage and seeing what it does. Like this might be a little bit easier for a newer person to do, But looking how much you scroll here and what all this does and all the options and everything, this might be just a little bit more overwhelming for somebody, especially if they're new to the DaVinci Resolve. This is going to be a lot to soak in and take in. I want to go ahead and say to the Dehancer, I'm sorry for it taking so long for this video. I got sick because my son got sick in daycare. We had to take him out of the daycare. Long story short, I'm not trying to talk about the daycare debacle that we had, but we started looking for in-home babysitters. And since he was sick, we couldn't find any, and some canceled on us. And then I got sick, and then my wife got sick. And then we had the tornadoes and storms and stuff in my area. So obviously I had to be safe. So I couldn't do any content creation. And then the day I feel somewhat good to do this video, I ended up getting re-sick again. So I don't know what's going on. I think it's the flu. It's not COVID 100%. But I do want to go ahead and say TLDR for this plugin. I think it's only going to be for those who are doing cinematic stuff. And what I mean by that is like cinematic vlogs, cinematic documentaries. They're going to be doing music videos. They're going to be doing wedding videos. Like they're going to do client work. They're going to get paid for this stuff. Those who have the time to learn a complicated software like DaVinci Resolve, from editing in it, like adding animations, text, all that stuff. Also learning how to color grade, the color grade tab or wherever, learning all the histogram scopes and everything like that, what they do and everything. And also learning how to EQ microphones. This is not going to be for somebody who's sitting down like I am, doing a talking head video, having to record into OBS, whether they're using intelligent auto mode, no color picture profile, they have the microphone already EQ'd going into the computer and all this stuff. You're not going to get a use case scenario out of this plugin. Even me using my camera slider and my background to, I would say record on my Sony A6700 and S-Log3, I can just grab that footage because it doesn't need to be EQ'd because it's not using audio, and I could drag it into Wondershare Filmora, and I can upload LUTs to Wondershare Filmora. So I could just upload that S-Log3 LUT that I have from Paul Leeming, paid $30 for all the color picture profile stuff, and just upload it into the program and just have it color graded. And I don't have to go in DaVinci Resolve at all. And even if you're doing B-roll for product shots or taking photos, whatever, you don't necessarily need a cinematic plugin. Unless you're looking for a certain look that's under the film look, because there's a lot of options there, you really don't even need that or wherever because you can find free, I would say, LUTs and plugins and stuff out there that could probably do the same. You know what I'm saying? So this plugin, again, is for those people who are going to be doing wedding videos, music videos, documentaries, cinematic vlogs, a whole bunch of cinematic stuff. They're going to be looking for that stuff. They're probably going to be doing some voiceover work, but you're not going to be wanting to do the cinematic stuff and then sit down and talk to a camera like this and then go back to that footage, because the juxtaposition between your LUTs for a talking head video like this and then going into a cinematic video, it's going to be so jarring for the user. So the viewer. So what you're going to do is you're going to have like a 3-minute video, 5-minute video showing scenery, slow-mo of a dog running on a beach or something, the waves coming in and out, you hanging out with your family, your camera's like on a slider or something like that in the background, sliding back and forth, or on a gimbal, somebody's filming you handheld or something like that, and you're showing your family just having fun on vacation or something. And it's going to be like at the end of your video, you're going to show a cinematic sequence, or it's just a cinematic sequence video, where again, it's like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, and using as a time capsule, wherever, for your family later on, for your kids later on, something like that. But you're not going to be doing a video like this and then like showing B-roll over your voiceover of like the cinematic, because like what those looks do and what the film grain does and all that stuff or wherever, it's not going to look right. So your whole entire video is going to have to be, at least in my personal opinion, being a viewer of these types of videos, you're not going to want to have all that stuff continuously throughout your video, unless, like I said, you're doing a documentary, or it's a wedding video and it's highlights from the wedding, or it's a music video, whatever, So those types of people are already going to know how to use programs like DaVinci Resolve. They're already going to know what the different tabs inside Dehancer does already. New users who are going to be getting into this, not only are you going to have to learn DaVinci Resolve, which is time consuming, but you're going to have to learn this program or this plugins that are going to be time consuming as well. So it's up to you if you can find a use case scenario out of it, and if you have the time for that. But a lot of people like me have significant others, have children, whatever it may be, like time constraints, like having a job, other obligations. They're not going to be able to learn DaVinci Resolve from editing, adding tags, animations, text. Then on top of that, adding, learning how to EQ in the EQ tab, and on top of that, color grading. That's going to be a lot for them to learn especially if they're just starting out as a content creator and they've never touched the editing software at all. And then you add this plugin on top and they're not even going to know half of the stuff in there or anything in there. And I barely even know half of that stuff that's in the plugin already, like what it can do. So for me, using color grading inside of DaVinci Resolve and using EQ, and that's all I do in there, this plugin, I can find a use case scenario for it. Like I said, for vacation footage and everything, but justifying purchasing the program and only using it like once or twice in the lifespan that I'm going to use the program, DaVinci Resolve, it doesn't really justify me using it or learning really about the program. So I'm on the fence of like not even really learning the program at all or the plugin at all, because it's like, when am I going to use it? You know what I'm saying? Because at least at the time I am right now in my content creation journey, I'm not using DaVinci Resolve like that. Unless you have the knowledge and you have the time to set aside to learn this plugin, you're not going to get a use case scenario out of it. So it's hard for me to recommend it. And that's why I'm putting it the way I'm putting it. I only recommend it is if you're willing to learn DaVinci Resolve and you're willing to take time to watch tutorial videos on this plugin. And not only that, even if you watch tutorial videos on DaVinci Resolve, you have to learn what numbers and how to adjust things for your footage in particular, because everybody's footage is going to be different. You're not going to be using the same footage as the person who's giving you the tutorial. So you're going to have to learn how to adjust certain scopes or certain things or wherever inside DaVinci Resolve for color grading and EQing to fit your footage. And then on top of that, even if you're watching videos on how to use the plugin, you're going to have to sit there and learn what settings inside the plugin is going to work for your footage, because you can't copy somebody else's footage settings or whatever that they're using in the tutorial video, at least some of them anyways. Again, it's going to be that barrier to entry, but I think it's going to be advantageous for those, like I said, who are looking for something like this, because overall, I do like what it provides. I just wish that it was more of tooltips, like I said, the question mark, when you're hovering over the certain tabs or wherever in there, that will explain to a new user what this is going to do to their footage. And that's what it's going to boil down to ultimately, is what type of content creator are you? Do you see yourself using a lot of cinematic shots? If you do, and you don't mind learning DaVinci Resolve and you don't mind learning this program or this plugin, it's going to be great for you. That's just my honest opinion. Dehancer is not a knock to you or what you're offering here. I think it's great for those who need it. With all that being said, thank you, Dehancer, so much for sending out this plugin for me to take a look at. I'm pretty sure in the future I will be able to use a use case scenario out of it, but right now I don't see myself using it too much. And again, that's not a knock to the program. It's not a knock to the what Dehancer is doing over there. I think it's a wonderful thing. It's just not for me, and that's okay. That's fine. With all that being said, y'all take care. Have a squid-tastic day. God bless you and yours, and deuces, everybody. Much love.